Hi John, it's just Gareth here to go through what I did for this project. So to start off, I'm just going to go show you some gameplay. So you've already seen it in class, but I'll just do it again. So it's Bomberman, so we can start the game. So I've implemented a timer since class, and it's just a simple timer that will basically, when the round ends, the round will end when it hits 0, so if the players can't kill each other for whatever reason. So I'll do the same with what I was always doing. So to move the player, you can either use the controller or the keyboard. And to place bombs, it's E for player 1 and space for player 2. So each block could contain a power up. So basically, it rolls a random number and basically from 1 to 7, and it'll spawn a power up. It'll only spawn a power up if it's not already on the screen. And when the player collides with these power ups, it does certain things. So there's 3 negative ones, 3 positive ones, and 1 for a score, which is the diamond. So the round will keep going and going until either the time ends or one player dies. So if I get player 2 to kill himself, or run into his own bomb. So he just have to commit suicide, so he lost 10 points and the round will begin again. So it will keep going until you want to stop the play. So that's basically it. So I'm just going to go show you the code. But so basically, this is a tile map. Just to say, we have tiles placed here. So as you go through, there'll be little obstacles in your way. So these ones that you can't break, they're unbreakable. So yeah. So let's just go through the code. Close this. So what I did part of this project was I did the bombs, the explosions, the collision, all the collision, the destructible blocks, and I did the power-ups. So we'll just go into we'll just look at here in the main. So I've set up the position X and Y for the map. I wanted to make sure all my stuff wasn't hard coded, and then we have a timer, which is round start. So if we go into the first thing we'll look at is initializing the players. So we'll go to the players. So we want to initialize each player, so we have to set the frame time, the current frame, the velocity, and we want to set the keys and the gamepad. And for the collision detection, we're going to be, each player is a box uses box collision, and same with the tiles, they're box collision, and same with the bombs. The explosions are circle collision, so they're the only different. And we want to check the set an ID for each player, because in the when we're handling the bombs, we want to basically check to see which ID, so we just spawn the bomb of that player's ID. And player 2 is the same. And for the power-ups, so we want to basically initialize all the power-ups. So we basically want to set the edge to be this, basically the edge of them. So this is our tile edge. And then we want to basically set the frame to be count and end. So this is not really an animation, but it is split into 7 different segments. So we just wanted to move on to each segment and give it an ID and set them all to false until they're going to be called. So then we have our bombs. So each player has 1 bomb each. So for networking purposes, we limited it to 1 bomb. So we don't have to keep track of multiple bombs all the time. Each player has an explosion. So basically, there's 3 different explosions: small, medium, and large. And each player we need 1 for each player, and that's controlled. So if we look go back into our player class, and we'll just see how the bombs are handled. So I'll go to player, see. So Connor did most of the player class, but I did the power-ups here. So basically it'll get the idea of the power-up and it'll basically go through a switch statement and check to see what the power-up is. So, and it'll add onto the stats if it's not within the maximum or the minimum. So basically we don't want you to have infinite speed or infinite power basically. So we set it to basically be 3 of each. So you can get your power up to 3, your speed up 3 times as what it originally was. And then also your negatives can go down 3 times. And scores just goes up by 5, sorry. If we look at the destructible block class, destructible block class is pretty same. It's just basically a blank class, but to be used for destructible blocks. It's how the blocks are handled is in the collision. So if we go to our collision, so we want to find collision. We'll just go find, so collisions. So basically we have, for collisions for player and player 1, we just wanted to reset the player to its old position. So in the player class we have an old X and old Y. So we want to set these to be, save basically the position of it, so we reset it so they can't go through the other player, and the same with the player 2. The handle tile collision is basically I took all the tile collision from the tile collision project and added it in here and just switched basically the boat rows with the player rows, and basically since it was a large chunk of code I just stuck it into a function so there's less space of it. So we want to see if like an explosion collides with one of the blocks. So we want to just check all the explosions, and if they collide with a block in the array of blocks, we want it to be set the block to be false, and then we want to get a power up. So pickup is called in the update, and it's just basically again a random number. So and we want to basically check if it's not active, we want to spawn something. If it's already active, don't do it. And then we'll just set the position to where the block was that was destroyed. And same with the player colliding with player, we just want to set it to the old position. When the player collides with pickup, we want to basically call this add pickup function. So that was the function that I showed you here in player. So basically we want to get apply these pickups to the player. So if we go down here, same with if the player collides with a bomb, we just want to reset their position. And this is if the player collides with the explosions. Depending on what explosions happen, different things will happen. So if the player collides with their explosions, we want them to lose score. And if the player 2 collides with player 1's explosions, we want player 1 to gain score and basically kill player 2. So, and for each time we just want to vibrate these. And let's see. That goes it for the collision. So the handle tiles, it's basically exactly like the tile collision. There is the only difference is like the naming conventions. And we want to just go through our game loop. So we have our draws, which is fine. So in the round start, basically for each round, we want to basically call different things. So we want to check the round over to false, and then the round will be 0 at the start of the game. So, and then we want to reset the seconds, and we want to basically set the minutes. So the minutes is going to be 2 minutes per round. and then we want to basically load level, play the OK, reset the player stats. So if in player we have a reset function that basically will reset them all back to the default values, and we will also basically want to reset the position of them. In load level, this will be the blocks. So if we look at this, basically it's a series of arrays that just draw the blocks in the shape that we want. So if we're looking back into our game, we have our blocks that are designed like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 here, 8 there, 10 here, and 12 here. So basically we wanted this kind of step thing. So we don't want we want this little L shape to be here. This will be for the extra player, so player 3 and 4 will go here, and then we'll just make a middle here. Get rid of these 3 blocks as an X, and put that player in here, right in the center. Networking. So this load thing just handles all this in a long convoluted way. It's just redrawing it, and every time like the level's ended, we want to basically reset the level. So basically, when we check, we want to basically just set any blocks that were destroyed that aren't active to be active now, visible. And the same with the power-ups. We basically want to just make, if there's any power-ups on the screen when the game round ends, we just want to delete them, and same with bombs and explosions. So for the little timer thing, basically, it's not really that great, because unlike C#, it doesn't have actually a conversion to like a string to a timer, which would be much more handier. So this is just a quick way of doing it. So basically, you'll just count down the seconds, and when the seconds are less than 0, set the seconds back to 0 and decrement the minutes and increase the round count. So the round count basically will just check to see in the update if the player's dead, or if the round count is equal to 2. There's a trick. The round will end. So let's have a look at the update. So look for the update. Okay, so I'll check the players. Okay, we want to go to... Okay, so this is basically, you'll check the explosions and trigger the explosion. So we basically want to get the player's power. If their power is equal to 1, we just want to get the fuse time. And basically, the fuse time will be ticked down, and we just want to get it in between 0.2 and 0. So we just want the explosion to appear on the screen for a short period of time. We don't want it to be there long, because an explosion is quick. So if we just go into our explode function, so basically we need a timer and then set them all to be active, and just plays the cue and just sets the position of the explosion to be where the bomb was. And we'll just go back. So that happens for each explosion. So we basically want to do that. So basically, if we want to place a bomb, we need to call this handle bomb function. So basically, if we go look at good definition here, it will basically check the ID of the player that we pass in. If it's 1, plant bomb, player's bomb, and if it's 2, plant the other 2. So how the plant works is if we take basically the fuse time and the direction of the player. So we want to we check each direction of the player. If the direction of the player is north, we basically want to place the bomb in front of it by 32 pixels north, since everything we have is 32 by 32. So we kept it like that. So that will basically check the position and basically add the fuse time. So the fuse time, basically we want to pass the fuse. So if the fuse is less than 0, we basically will want to explode. So this will help with the explode function. And let me think. I'm running out of time, so I'm just going to end this one, and I'll see you in the next one.